What is going on, guys? PXCam20 back in with a brand new video. We are here again for our Manufacturer Cup race at Suzuka, as this is our second race that we did here, and actually a lot more of an entertaining race than our first race, as we are going to try to get a better finish than we did on our first race, as I wasn't really proud of where we finished at on the first race. So I wanted to get back into a second lobby, see if we actually rank up a little bit more, and try to get a little bit more points as we come into the race. So coming into the lobby here, you can see that we are ranked with A+, A ranked, and S ranked players. So we actually did go up a little bit on the split. So we should be able to get a little bit more points as we come into the points now. As we come into the points, if we get first place, we get 246 points if we get first place. And if we finish where we finished that last race, then we actually get a little bit more points than we did on the race previous. So it's going to be a very, very difficult race, as we're going to stay on the same strategy of starting on the softs, going into lap number 8 or 9, and switching off to the mediums, and then switching off to the hards on the final lap, as that's going to be the slowest required tire on the race. So yeah, let's jump straight into qualifying. Now, before we jump into qualifying, if you guys really enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel when you guys do so. Anyways, that's enough promoting myself. Let's jump straight into qualifying. So one thing I did fail to mention on the previous video is that qualifying has changed a little bit, as we don't have any more fuel consumption during qualifying. So that brings in an interesting strategy here. As you can see, everybody's just trying to line up nose to tail, as we're going to try to get behind someone and try to follow them on the slipstream to maximize our lap time. As we are now coming down to the final chicane on our flyer lap, we're right behind the BMW right ahead of us. Let's see what lap time we're going to get here as we come into the final corner now. Staying right behind him as we head down to the straightaway, we get a 207.8. So very, very fast lap, but it's only good enough for a 6th place position and not a pole lap. So we're going to go again, try to get a better lap here as we come out of the final corner again. We're still right behind the BMW, as we got demoted all the way into 8th. Coming down to the start finish line, it's going to be our last flyer lap. Do we improve? We get a 207.6, improve the lap by 0.2 of a second, but still 0.7 of a second slower than pole time. As we're waiting for confirmation now, we get confirmation, and we are going to start in 9th place as we jump up into the race now. So we're going to have to fight our way all the way to the front. So let's see what we can do here. So jumping into the race here, you can see that we are positioned behind an Audi in 9th place, as we are waiting to get our rolling stars. We are able to go now and jump up into the race. So coming into the race now, we are heading into turn number 1 on lap number 1. You can see there's a train of cars right ahead of us, as we're just going to patiently bide our time here, as we don't want to do any drastic overtakes coming into the first lap here. We're just going to follow the Audi ahead of us, kind of see what the situation is with the cars ahead of us, see how fast they are, and just kind of try to save our tires here, not abuse them, as they do come in handy, especially towards lap number 7 and 8, when we have to run really quick laps before we come into the pits as we head into Dunlop Curve. So coming out of Dunlop Curve, we're still right behind the Audi, and we actually gained some time on 10th place. As you can see on the map, we've actually lost, I think, from like 12th place behind. They something must have happened, as they have a huge gap compared to the train that we have going on here, as we are heading into the hairpin now. Coming to the hairpin, we're going to try to brake early so we don't run into the back of the Audi. Everyone gets into it cleanly. We don't get rammed from behind, so that's really good as we come out of the hairpin now and heading down into the end of lap number 1. So coming to the final chicane now at the end of lap number 1, we're still right behind the Audi, and we take these chicane really, really carefully, as we don't want to get a penalty like the Audi does ahead of us. He actually gets a 1.5 second penalty, and so that should be able to benefit us as we come into the S curves now. So once we hit that penalty zone, we should be able to overtake the Audi and focus on the Ferrari as we come into Dunlop Curve now. Coming to Dunlop Curve, we actually get a really good exit there, and we actually get a 1 second penalty after making contact, slight contact with the Audi. Not sure why we got that 1 second penalty, as we really didn't even do anything to the Audi. We actually, if anything, helped him, because we just gave him a bump further up ahead. So now we have to serve our second penalties. That's going to cost us dearly as we come into the hairpin. Coming to the hairpin, there's actually a car spinning out, and this is the Nissan GTR that gets spun out. We get banged from behind, and we make contact with the Ferrari, as the Audi makes the overtake on the Ferrari when he was trying to avoid collision with the Nissan. Jump into the replay, so what happened right here to the Nissan GTR. So coming to the hairpin, he gets overtaken by the McLaren, gets bumped out by the Porsche, and just runs it into the grass, spins out, and you can see there we are trying to avoid him, as we are placed up into 8th place, but again, we have to serve our 1 second penalty, and so does the Audi right ahead of us. He has to serve his 1.5 second penalty, so we go into the penalty zone, have to serve our penalty. We overtake the Audi, but we get overtaken by 2 cars, so basically we only lost 1 position there as we head down into the penalty zone. As we come down into the straightaway, leading us into 130R. So jumping into lap number 3, we have caught up to 8th place, as they had made a huge gap ahead of us, but we're now behind 8th place in Mercedes now. As we're heading to the hairpin, you see he's fighting with the Volkswagen right ahead, but we're still on his slipstream, so this should be able to help us out as we head into the straightaway, leading us into Spoon Curve. Staying right behind the Mercedes to just maximize the slipstream, and if we get a chance to overtake him here on the inside, we're going to look for the inside spot, but we're a little too far back. Brake early so we avoid making contact with the Mercedes as we follow back in line, coming out of Spoon Curve. That's going to lead us into the straightaway. So we have to wait patiently to try to make another attempt to an overtake, and hopefully we can get that soon as we come out of Dunlop Curve. So coming into Dunlop Curve, going into Degner 1 and Degner 2, we're still right behind the Mercedes. We're still in this little train here, led by the 6th place car. I think the 6th place car is Honda Civic, or not the Honda Civic, but the Honda NSX as well. So that's going to be our competition right there, as we want to finish ahead of him, so we can finish ahead of him on the standings. But coming into the hairpin again, brake very, very early so we don't make contact with the Mercedes up ahead. And we actually give him a little bit of a bump there coming out of the hairpin. And we're just repeating the exact same story as the lap prior, as we are still right behind him coming into Spoon Curve here. Staying right behind him on the slipstream. We're still a little too far back to make any attempt at an overtake, so we wait again patiently for another lap as we jump up into lap number 5. So coming into lap number 5 now, as we head into Degner 1, you see they're going side by side right ahead of us, the Mercedes and the Volkswagen, but the Mercedes backs out of the move there. He tries to make a move again onto the inside, makes a little bit of contact with the Volkswagen. The Volkswagen actually goes out to the dirt right there, and the Mercedes has to take evasive action. We go into the middle there of the 2 cars, and we're splitting 3 wide as we go into the hairpin. Almost did not make it there as we come into the hairpin. We bump out the Mercedes there, and we're able to get our way up into 7th place. Now it's going to be a drag race with the Mercedes. Let's go back to the replay. We're able to make the overtake on the Volkswagen coming into the hairpin, and we just make a little bit of contact with the Mercedes. Crazy action there, as I'm really shocked that all 3 of us were able to make it through there without causing any incidents as we come down to the straightaway, leading us into the Spoon Curve now. So it's a drag race now between us and the Mercedes, but the Mercedes has the power as we come into the Spoon Curve. Mercedes outbrakes us on the outside, and he's able to retake 7th place, as we were only able to make up 1 place because of that move, as we were able to overtake the Volkswagen as we come down to the straightaway now, leading us to 130R. So jumping over to lap number 8 now, you see there's a yellow flag right ahead of us, but I tried to look for the car that caused the yellow flag, and I couldn't find him. I think he actually either backed out or came off the racetrack, or probably just reset it back onto the racetrack. As you see, we were able to gain a position because of that yellow flag. So guessing the car went out wide heading into turn number 1, got loose, spun out, and that was the result, as we are now in 7th place as we set our sights now again on the Mercedes and the NSX right ahead of us coming to the hairpin. So coming to the hairpin, the Mercedes actually makes a little bit of contact with the NSX, so that's going to slow him down, and that's going to invite us to try to get all over his back bumper as we head down the straightaway, leading us into Spoon Curve. Staying right behind him on the slipstream again. Let's see if we could try to make any type of moves. He's covering the inside now coming to Spoon Curve. He brakes very late. We brake a little bit early as we come into the end of Spoon Curve. He actually goes a little bit wider, and that invites us into the inside, and we make a beautiful overtake on the Mercedes coming out of Spoon Curve, and we're able to overtake him going into the straightaway and promote ourselves into 6th place, as we are now right behind the NSX. So we set our sights on the NSX, and we might come into the pits here as we come into 130R. Try to take 130R as easy as we can, but we actually mistakenly go a little bit out wide, and we actually go a little too hot into 130R. We are going to lose the position there to the Mercedes as we head to the final chicane. And you see 2nd place comes into the pits, so we're going to try to undercut the Mercedes if he doesn't come in, and he does not. So we come into the pits, switch off from the softs to the mediums, as we came with the train of cars as we're switching off the tires now. Coming out of the pit stops, we actually jumped the NSX that came out right ahead of us, so that's interesting. I'm not sure if he accidentally put fuel in there or what, but we were able to somehow jump the NSX, and now we're promoted into 6th place as we set our sights on just putting in a very fast lap on lap number 9, so we can try to overtake the Mercedes before he comes out of the pits. So he's coming out of the pits now as we come into turn number 1. We're trying to make him on the outside, but we have to back out of there as it would have been too costly, and it could have risked us going out wide and spinning out and costing us a ton more positions than just losing 5th place. So we come out right behind the Mercedes coming into S curves now, and we have to do all the dirty work again to catch back up to him as we come into the final chicane. Coming to the final chicane, we actually brake very, very late, almost make contact, and almost take out the Mercedes there as we come into the final corner, leading us into lap number 11. Now we have to just focus on just catching back up to him as we jump up into lap number 12. So on lap number 12 now, you see the Mercedes is pulling away from us as we come into the spoon curve, but the Ferrari actually goes out a little bit wide. He's out into the AstroTurf as we're coming down out of spoon curve. Very costly mistake by the Ferrari as we're going to try to catch up to him coming down the straightaway. We're in the slipstream of the Ferrari as we head into 130R. Coming out of 130R, you see we gain a ton of time on the Ferrari as we head into the final chicane. Brake as late as we can. And the Ferrari actually outbrakes himself there as we head into the final chicane. And we're able to gain a lot more time on him as we're now on his back bumper heading down the straightaway. Heading into lap number 13 now. So now on the slipstream of the Ferrari, we're on his back bumper. We're going to make a move onto the inside as we come down the straightaway, leading us into the first turn. Are we going to be able to make the overtake here as we're going side by side into turn number 1? He outbrakes us. Goes very, very wide. I thought he was going to actually outbrake himself and go out into the AstroTurf and spin out, but he was able to hold it together as we come out of the first corner, heading down into S curves now. Staying right behind the Ferrari as we're in this slipstream now. Going to the left-hander here. We're still back on his slipstream. Just trying to gain any type of way to try to get around the Ferrari as we're going to head into Dunlop curve now. You see he gets a really bad exit there as we try to take a wide entrance going to Dunlop curve, and we're getting a really good exit now as we come down into Degner 1 and Degner 2, still right behind the Ferrari on the slipstream. Brake very, very late as we head to Degner 1 and try to just keep it composed as we head into Degner 2. This might be our best chance to overtake him as we come down into the hairpin. Can we outbrake him here? Heading down into the hairpin, but we're just a little too far back as the Ferrari was able to get a good exit coming out of Degner 2. We actually make a little bit of contact with him, but we back out of the move there as I didn't want to overtake him that way by just bumping him out and then making the overtake. So now going down into the straightaway, leading us into spoon curve. We're still right behind the Ferrari as we jump up into the final corner now, or the final chicane. Coming into the final chicane, we're going to have to switch off from the mediums to the hards, and I believe the Ferrari's going to do so too. So this is going to be our final chance to try to make any type of overtake on the Ferrari as we're going to switch off from the mediums to the hards. We have enough fuel till the end of the race, so we don't have to put any fuel in as we come out right behind the Ferrari. Now this is going to be the race right here to see if we can try to get 5th place away from the Ferrari as we come into turn number 1. So coming to turn number 1, the Ferrari looks like he misses his second apex there as we come out of turn number 2, heading us into the S curves now. Just try to clip all our apexes as best as we can. As you see, we're actually catching up on him. Not sure if the hards are not warming up good on his car, as we actually have a ton of grip now heading into this right-hander that's going to lead us into Dunlop. Try to get a wide entrance again into Dunlop now. We actually get a really good exit here as we're catching up on the Ferrari now. Staying right behind him on the slipstream. Going to Degner 1. This is going to be again our best opportunity to try to make any type of overtake on him as we head into the hairpin now. Catching up really, really close to him onto Degner 2, but we actually go a little bit wide. And that's going to probably be game over there as we're just a little too far back on the Ferrari to do any type of overtake. Heading into the hairpin. Brake very, very late. But we just can't get close enough to him as we come out of the hairpin now. So now as we come down into this curving straightaway that's going to lead us into spoon curve, the only thing we could do now is just try to stay right behind him on the slipstream and hope that he makes a mistake coming into spoon curve, but we'll see if he does so, as he already made a mistake once here going into spoon curve. We brake as late as we can again. Just try to give him as much pressure as we can as we come out of spoon curve now. Going down into the straightaway that's going to lead us into 130R. We're still behind him on the slipstream, and we're just going to see if the slipstream could try to pull us along and catch us up to the Ferrari. But it looks like it's going to be a little too late as we're going to come into the final chicane now. Too far back to try to make any move onto the final chicane. The Ferrari actually outbrakes himself a little bit. He misses the first apex. We get a good first apex and a good second apex. So we're going to be able to get a good run coming out of the final chicane. As we're going to go down to the line, we're right behind the Ferrari on the slipstream. We're going to be able to make an overtake. And no, we're not. We get 6th place in the race. Very, very fun race. Very entertaining race as it came down to the wire to at least try to get a 5th place on the Ferrari ahead of us. but we were unable to do so. But luckily we were able to be the highest finishing NSX on this lobby, so that should help us out in the manufacturer standings, as I think we finished in 5th place for the manufacturer standings after this race. So can't be too disappointed about that, and getting 6th place, finishing 3 places ahead of where we started at. Very, very proud about that, as we get 194 points added to our Manufacturer Cup standings. So yeah, really, really fun race. A lot of close racing and a lot of just concentration, as we were right behind a lot of cars, almost bumper to bumper majority of the race. But yeah, but again, we finished in 6th place, so very proud of that. And yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. It really helps out the channel. And I hope to see you guys on the next video. Peace out.